Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Joe Gibbs Racing. Since I had the mistake of starting this on Friday, I guess I'll get to finish it out today. And it is my honor to finally announce the full name of our driver next year, Chase Briscoe, in the 19 car.
I've got to give credit to Joe Gibbs Racing. I wasn't sure if they would use Christopher Bell in their announcement, but they did a good job. Did a social media teaser with him yesterday, and then today he officially announced, as you just saw, that Chase Briscoe will be driving the number 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing next year. Obviously, this has been reported on. This has been speculated for the last couple of weeks that Briscoe was the top candidate for Joe Gibbs Racing to replace Martin Truex Jr., but today it was made official. Chase Briscoe will drive the number 19. They did confirm that he will be in the number 19. And also, he will have sponsor from Bass Pro Shops, who, of course, sponsored Truex. And I didn't really see that part coming. You know, Briscoe's had sponsorship from Mahindra Tractors, High Point at Stewart-Haas Racing. I wasn't sure if he was bringing that over. He still might be. But Bass Pro Shops staying with Joe Gibbs Racing, staying with the 19 car. Johnny Morris called in and talked at this press conference. This press conference included Chase Briscoe, of course, Joe Gibbs, of course, and also James Small, who is currently the crew chief for Martin Truex Jr. It was confirmed that he will be the crew chief next season for Briscoe. But as I said, Johnny Morris called in the owner, CEO of Bass Pro Shops. Of course, him, Joe Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr. have a very good relationship. And he talked about how he met Chase Briscoe, talked to Chase Briscoe, figured out that he was an outdoors kind of guy and that they just really got along well. And so ultimately they ended up deciding to stay with Joe Gibbs Racing and continuing to sponsor the 19 car despite it being a different driver. Of course, this also means Chase Briscoe is a Toyota driver now. He had been with Ford for quite a while, I think his entire career up to this point. But ultimately, Joe Gibbs Racing just too good of an opportunity to turn down on the Cup Series side of things. Every single year they're a championship contender at the worst. Obviously, Christopher Bell has won 3 races this year. Denny Hamlin's won 3 races this year. Even though Martin Truex Jr. hasn't won a race this year, he's sitting 5th in the points. And Ty Gibbs, only in his second year, is having a really good year. He's well above the playoff cutoff line, and he'll win his first race at some point. So Joe Gibbs Racing, we know them as a championship organization, a top-tier organization. It was going to be impossible for Briscoe to say no, and it's a great opportunity for Briscoe. Briscoe has proven his worth multiple times. The 9-win Xfinity Series season back in 2020, which Joe Gibbs mentioned in the press conference. Of course, he has a Cup Series win at Phoenix that he got back in 2022. And you've got to remember this. You may look at Chase Briscoe. He's been in the Cup Series since 2021 and say, really? He's had 3.5 seasons so far in the Cup Series and only 1 win? Really? Well, you got to remember, Stewart-Haas Racing has not been too hot since Chase Briscoe has got there. 2021, the organization only had 1 win, and it came from Eric Almirola. 2022, he won, and then Kevin Harvick won a couple of races. And 2023, the organization went winless. So since Chase Briscoe has been at Stewart-Haas Racing, they haven't done a lot of winning. So you may look at those numbers, and some people may hate on Chase Briscoe for that. But the fact of the matter is, SHR has not had race-winning equipment a lot in Chase Briscoe's time there, and Chase Briscoe really has been the second-best driver there behind future Hall of Famer Kevin Harvick. So Chase Briscoe, I personally think he's a great driver. I have always been high on Chase Briscoe, think that he can do great things in NASCAR, and this is his opportunity. This is going to be the opportunity to prove his worth. He talked about it a bit in his press conference, you know. His career has been about proving his worth in a sense, you know, the way he's had to come up through the ranks, you know, sleeping on people's couches, trying to figure out life as a NASCAR driver in a sense, having to win to stay alive essentially. And now he is at potentially the best opportunity of his career. Joe Gibbs Racing, championship equipment guaranteed, race winning equipment guaranteed. I expect him to win races in this equipment. Is he a future Cup champion? I think it's too early to tell, but I think for sure he is going to win races in this equipment. I think for sure he is going to be a playoff contender, someone who's going to make the playoffs guaranteed almost every single year. I think he's a a very good driver, and I think he's going to do great things at Joe Gibbs Racing. And then another big thing he talked about was the culture, the atmosphere of Joe Gibbs Racing. I feel like we don't really hear about that a lot, you know? Drivers go to teams, you know, one driver goes from front row to JTG Doherty. I don't know. That's just a random combination. And, you know, it's like, yeah, they gave me a good opportunity. It's cool, whatever, you know, awesome. But I feel like you don't always hear about the culture and all that stuff. So that was cool to hear Chase Briscoe kind of talk about how their sight, their beliefs and all that in terms of, you know, racing and non-racing things just kind of lined up. So it really seems like a good pairing for now. But then another thing Briscoe talked about is that Joe Gibbs Racing was the only team that when they talked about a future together, they were the only ones who really said that, yeah, we want you for your natural ability and your ability only. You know, obviously NASCAR sponsors run this thing. You need money to fund a team. And I'm sure a lot of these teams that offered Briscoe a contract said, hey man, like, no, we think you're a great driver. We know you're a great driver, but you got any sponsor money? We kind of need that if we need to run you. So just to hear that Joe Gibbs Racing was saying, hey man, like, you come over here, we want you for you, we want you for your ability. And honestly, like, if the funding comes together, cool. If not, we'll figure it out. Like, we just want you for you. If you don't have anything to offer, that's fine. We want you because you're talented. So that was cool to hear, especially in an era. Well, I say an era, but it's always been a thing where, you know, money runs everything. So, yeah, once again, Chase Briscoe, this is going to be the best opportunity of his career, just to be in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. I'm very curious to see how quickly he catches on, how quickly he adapts to the team. As I said, first time in his career in a Toyota, first time in a non-Ford, different people, different camp, different crew chief, everything's going to be different for Chase Briscoe. But as I said, I'm a believer in Chase Briscoe. I think he's a really good driver. I think he could do something special at Joe Gibbs Racing. And he pointed this out in the press conference. He said, you know, when Martin Truex Jr. showed up to Furniture Row, he only had 2 wins in his career before that. And now he's sitting here with 34. He's sitting there with a championship. A lot of those at Furniture Row and Joe Gibbs Racing in Toyota equipment. I know MTJ won with the Toyota at MWR, but Furniture Row and Joe Gibbs Racing, that was top-tier championship equipment. So Briscoe said he hopes to have that same trajectory in terms of, you know, this is where his career takes off in a sense, where the wins start coming more consistently, where a potential championship in there or consistent championship contenders. So I'm very curious to see how James Small and Chase Briscoe mesh together as the driver crew chief. Very curious to see how Briscoe fits in with his teammates, Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, and Christopher Bell. Obviously, Briscoe and Christopher Bell, very close friends, have known each other for a while. And Briscoe actually credited him as a big reason that his career is where it is today, that Christopher Bell has helped him out a lot. So that was really cool to hear as well. So very curious. There's a lot of things here that you could look at. You know, the teammates, the new driver crew chief combo, the new team ownership, or not the new team ownership, the new team owner for Chase Briscoe. You know, how's this all going to work out for him? But it is official. Christopher Bell made it official. Chase Briscoe will drive for Joe Gibbs Racing next year in the number 19. He's going to have Bass Pro Shops as a sponsor, James Small as the crew chief. We will see how he ends up doing next year. As for now, Martin Truex Jr., James Small, Joe Gibbs Racing fighting for a championship, trying to send Martin Truex Jr. out into the sunset with a championship. And then obviously Chase Briscoe trying to do the same for Stewart-Haas Racing, or at least get them a win before the season is over. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Any other news that happens this week, I will let you know. We got races at Nashville coming up. Should be an exciting weekend. And yeah, as I said, I'll see you guys in the next video whenever it may be.